Earlier this month, the world watched in horror as Hamas committed brutal acts of terrorism against the people of Israel. Hamas murdered innocent women and men and children. They attacked teenagers at a music festival. They took hostages, families, kids. All of us are horrified. In the days and weeks that followed, the United States has taken strong, swift actions to support Israel as they defend their country against terrorism and to aid civilians in Gaza. Now it's vital to our national security that we provide critical assistance to Israel, including robust military, economic, and humanitarian aid desperately needed for those harmed by Hamas's terrorism. We must stand with both Ukraine and Israel as they fight back against two of the world's biggest threats, Putin and Iranian-backed terrorists like Hamas. This isn't a time to play politics. We must stand united with our allies. We must defend American interests. We need to confirm key national security nominees who play a critical role in working with their Israeli partners. We've had too many delays already. Right now, politics holds up several key positions. The ambassador to Israel, at least 12 key military personnel that directly impact that part of the world, preventing important work in the Middle East. It's why people think Washington doesn't work. Political grandstanding, especially as we've seen in the House, but way more than that, is hurting America's ability to effectively protect our interests at home and abroad, keeping talented ambassadors and career military personnel on the sidelines. On this committee, as the ranking member knows, Senator Kennedy knows, Senator Tester knows, we have a long history of keeping politics out and working together to address threats from Russia, North Korea, and China and Iran. In the aftermath of October 7th, we're again confronting a challenge to the civilized world. Our humanity compels us to combat terrorism and to hold state sponsors of terrorism, like Iran, accountable. We must be clear. We must speak with one voice. There's no justification for terrorism, none ever. On this committee, we have a unique role to play, working to understand the financing behind Hamas's attacks so we can work to cut off funding for terrorism at its source and work to prevent future attacks. Iran has an alarming history of supporting terrorist proxies engaged in unspeakable atrocities. It's clear they provide significant funding for the military wing of Hamas. They provide training, they provide capabilities. We will assess what additional economic tools we need to stop state sponsors of terrorism, including Iran, from supporting Hamas, Hezbollah, Palestinian Islamic Jihad, and other terrorist proxies. We'll examine multiple terrorist funding streams, including cryptocurrency. We'll consider additional measures to stop the flow of these funds. In response to the brutal and horrific attacks last week, the Treasury Department's Office of Foreign Assets Control imposed additional sanctions on key Hamas terrorist group members, operatives, and financial facilitators located in Gaza and elsewhere, including Sudan and Turkey and Qatar and Algeria. This action specifically targeted those managing assets within a secret Hamas investment portfolio, a Qatar-based financial facilitator with close ties to the Iranian regime, a key Hamas commander, and a Gaza-based virtual currency exchange and its operator. That is not enough. The administration must take additional steps to impose sanctions and dedicate resources toward a multilateral effort to coordinate with allies to track and to freeze and to seize any Hamas-related assets and take steps necessary to deny Hamas terrorists the ability to raise funds. We need to not only identify the bad actors, but identify their money pipelines so we can shut off their funding. We must undertake a more robust approach to identifying and preventing transactions that take place not only through financial institutions, but also through trade-based money laundering, cryptocurrency transactions, and other channels designed to avoid detection. On this committee, we've raised the alarm about crypto and its role in illicit finance, including the use of crypto to fund terrorists and enable rogue nations financing them. Crypto platforms too often don't use the same common sense protections that keep illicit money out of the traditional banking system. Safeguards like knowing their customers or suspicious transaction reporting. Some crypto services and tokens even help users keep their transactions anonymous. And when law enforcement attempts to trace or block crypto funds, it becomes a game of whack-a-mole. They stop one transaction and criminals move on to another platform with another alias again and again and again. Terrorists know they can use crypto in ways they can never use dollars. It's why President Trump's Justice Department warned back in 2020 that terrorist groups, including ISIS, Al-Qaeda, and the military arm of Hamas, were raising funds using cryptocurrency. Not surprisingly, after the attack, it was reported that Hamas had raised millions of dollars in crypto to fund their operations. We need to crack down on the use of crypto to fund terrorism and evade sanctions. Last week, Senator Warren and I, along with more than 100 of our colleagues of both parties, wrote to the administration to voice concern about these issues. I'm glad that members of this committee, including Senator Reid and Senator Warner, have put forward bipartisan plans for closing gaps around digital assets and our illicit finance rules. These are important steps forward. I welcome more ideas from anybody on this committee and anybody at the witness table and anybody in the audience. We will work together on this committee in a bipartisan way to make sure terrorists and bad actors can't exploit crypto. This committee and the Senate have a bipartisan history of combating the ways in which Iran threatens the region, not just nuclear weapons development, but also its support for terrorism. There's been a steady drumbeat recognizing the need for the United States and our allies to maintain and ramp up sanctions on Iran's harmful and destabilizing activities. The Senate voted overwhelmingly to support the Countering America's Adversaries Through Sanctions Act to impose sanctions on Iran and North Korea and Russia. We passed the Hezbollah International Finance Prevention Amendments Act, which imposed sanctions on Russia, Iran, or any other foreign government supporting Hezbollah. And don't forget, this committee acted together to tighten the rules around anonymous shell companies, which too often operate here in the U.S. and which fund criminal syndicates and terrorists alike. We strengthened our money laundering rules and our sanctions tools in a bipartisan way. We will do it again. We need a comprehensive approach to shutting off Iran's funding sources, not just the $6 billion, but the many more billions of dollars Iran uses to continue its destabilizing activities around the world. Now's the time to act. I look forward to working with colleagues on this committee to stem terrorist financing, to address the problems posed by crypto, and to further strengthen sanctions.